Now to our other major story. Police say they have detained a man they're calling a strong person of interest in the murder of the CEO of the nation's largest health insurer, who was shot in New York City last week, leading to a nearly week-long manhunt that widened beyond the city's limits. Tonight, authorities say they apprehended 26-year-old Luigi Mangione in the brazen and targeted shooting of 50-year-old Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare.
He matches the description of the identification we've been looking for. He's also in possession of several items that we believe will connect him to this incident. How did we do it? Good old-fashioned police work.
Mangione was taken into custody after police got a tip that he'd been spotted at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, more than 200 miles west of New York.
Someone, a McDonald's employee, did something we ask every American to do. If you see something, say something, but most importantly, do something. And they did.
Police say they found Mangione with a firearm that was consistent with the one used in the murder, complete with a suppressor. The NYPD said it was a ghost gun, not licensed and not manufactured, but made with parts that could have been printed by a 3D printer. Police also found multiple fake IDs, a passport, and a 3-page document full of writings that they said spoke to his motivation and mindset. Last week, investigators confirmed they found shell casings at the scene, inscribed with the words delay, deny, and depose, words often associated with the ways insurance companies deny claims. Police said the document they found today revealed more about Mangione, but they provided few details.
It does seem that he has some ill will toward corporate America.
New York police say detectives are on the way to Pennsylvania and are working to bring Mangione back to New York to face charges. It ends a 6-day manhunt that sent police scouring New York City and following a trail of surveillance images looking for the killer, including this one showing a man in a black hooded jacket and surgical mask in the back of a cab that police say headed to the George Washington Bridge bus terminal. Thompson's murder ignited a wave of public feelings online and elsewhere, including anger and resentment toward insurance companies and, in some cases, a lack of empathy for his death. Following Thompson's killing, UnitedHealthcare reinforced their headquarters in Minnesota with new fencing and a heightened police presence. And several news reports say that handwritten document that Mangione was found carrying criticized healthcare companies and suggested violence as the answer. And that part of the story, the connections to the healthcare industry, has touched a nerve, sometimes with ugly results in the days since his murder. For more on that, we're joined now by Nicholas Florko, staff writer at The Atlantic, who covers healthcare and wrote the recent piece, Murder is an Awful Answer for Healthcare Anger. Thanks for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And first, we want to acknowledge that Brian Thompson was a husband, a father, a colleague to many. And so much of the rhetoric online regarding this issue is really just morally corrupt, depraved, abhorrent. And you write of the wave of public sentiment that we've seen. You say this: Americans' zeal for the death of an insurance executive demonstrates both the coarsening of public discourse and the degree of rage many Americans feel over the deficiencies of the U.S. healthcare system. So what do you think this anger reflects about the current state of the system overall?
Well, first, I want to agree with you that we should all agree that murder is abhorrent and it's not something we should be cheering about. But I think this anger comes from the fact that our healthcare system largely results in people paying a huge amount of money out of pocket. This country has a medical debt problem. There are statistics that show a significant portion of folks have to forego medical treatment to pay for other bills because of the cost of healthcare. And it's those issues that are really, I think, causing people to react really viscerally to this murder.
Well, the other thing you write about, you say that denying claims is a feature of the healthcare industry. It's not a bug. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a for-profit system. For better or worse, we depend on insurers to make decisions on whether care should be paid for or not paid for. And we can have a debate over whether insurers are too aggressive in those policies and are denying too many pieces of medical care. But the reality is, even our most notorious, famous public insurer, Medicare, they deny claims as well. It is part of the system. It's just a question of whether insurers are abusing that power.
So what are the real-world results for people who experience a denied claim?
I mean, there's a few different ways that somebody can approach it. I mean, folks can pay the bill, which could result in you wiping out your entire savings. You could try to fight that claim and appeal it, maybe go to court. That, again, is also going to largely drain your savings if you actually have to go to court. Or you go into medical debt. Those are really the only ways out of the system at this point, and that's why people, I think, feel so powerless.
Well, even after major reforms, it's clear that lots of people feel that the healthcare system isn't working for them. How does our system compare to other developed nations?
Well, most other developed nations do not rely on private health insurers to provide their health care. They have a single-payer system. And I mean, that is the biggest difference, is we depend on companies like UnitedHealthcare to provide our health care.
What else is driving up costs for these companies?
I mean, every part of the system is driving up costs in some ways. I think a really illustrative way to think about this is like a prescription drug. So say somebody goes to a pharmacy and they're told they have to pay $200. The insurer is going to tell you that is the drug maker's fault because they set that cost for that drug. And it is true. They could lower the cost of that drug, you'd pay less. But if somebody with insurance goes into a pharmacy and is told to pay $200 for a drug, that means that they have skimpy insurance. It means that either they're being told they have to pay a co-insurance, which is a percentage of the drug cost, or maybe they have a deductible where they have to pay the entire amount until their insurance kicks in. So it's everyone who's at fault.
So what are some of the potential fixes that could mean fewer denials, better coverage, and cheaper care?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. I don't think we've actually gotten there yet.
Even after all of the political capital that was expended on Obamacare, still we haven't figured it out?
It's important to note that Obamacare did strengthen patients' abilities to appeal these denials. That was supposed to be a big piece of this, and honestly, that is one of the more powerful things that patients can do to fight back against these issues. There are proposed fixes, like the doctors' lobby, the American Medical Association. They've been pushing for reforms to something called prior authorization, which is one of these tactics that insurers use. Those arguably could help, but I don't think we've gotten to a place here where we've fully figured out how to make this private system work and not also create a lot of pain for the folks that have to pay.
Were you surprised by the reaction that we witnessed online after the shooting death of the CEO?
Yes and no. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. I think we're sort of used to at this point, discourse on X, formerly Twitter, being a bit toxic at times. Folks seem to be empowered to say what they want to say on those platforms that they wouldn't say in public. But I mean, when I wrote this story, the amount even of vitriol that I got just for saying we shouldn't be calling for murder of CEOs was astounding. People are furious. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. I sort of expected some toxicity around the edges, but it is widespread right now on that platform.
It's an indictment of the times in which we live. Nick Florko, thanks so much.
Of course, thanks for having me.